Okay, we're going to focus now on the U.S. election because in just over 7 months, Americans will vote for president. And barring any stunning developments, it will be a Joe Biden versus Donald Trump rematch. And the race, it's close. Some polls show Trump in the lead. Biden touched down in New York City today, along with former President Barack Obama. They'll join another former president, Bill Clinton, tonight for a major fundraiser. It's expected to bring in $25 million, potentially the most lucrative fundraising event in American political history. Meanwhile, Trump is facing mounting legal bills as the many civil and criminal cases brought against him progress through the courts. Now, the former president is selling $60 Bibles. None of the proceeds will go towards his campaign, a campaign whose fundraising operation is reportedly falling behind Biden's. Frank Luntz is a longtime pollster and political strategist, and he joins us now from Los Angeles. Frank Luntz, it's good to speak with you.
Good to speak with you. And I saw that photograph. It's the first time I've actually seen what the Bible looks like. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to defend it.
You going to buy it?
Hell no. I guess I shouldn't say hell no when we're talking about the Bible, but it just, and this is what we're going through as Americans right now. Things that we never believed would be possible, that we thought we would only see in comedies on Saturday Night Live or in the movie theater, is actually happening, and it's genuinely serious because it's happening to the United States of America.
Yeah, these are very strange times everywhere, Frank, very strange times in the most powerful, economically, militarily country on earth, and just over 7 months out from that big election. Polls are saying this is going to be a tight race. I mean, what are you seeing? Why is it that way?
I can't imagine us going through it for 7 months. Let's take a look at the positive for Joe Biden. The economy is getting stronger. The unemployment rate is very, very low. American confidence in the future is picking up. He's got issues of border security. He's got issues of the Middle East and China and Ukraine. So there are challenges for him, but domestically, it seems to be a good time. For Donald Trump, he's beating Joe Biden on who could best handle inflation, who could best handle the economy, who's the best candidate to secure the border. Those are the positives for Trump. The negatives are also significant. These 4 major court cases, right. One of them looks like it's going to start in April. It is significant.
How does a candidate with indictments on the table stacked high and trials about to begin maintain a lead over an incumbent president who's a known commodity with a pretty good economy and inflation going in the right direction? I mean, in Canada, I would think all of these criminal charges are automatically disqualifying, but it's kind of invigorating for the Trump campaign, it seems.
Well, 2 reasons. One is that Trump has perfected the victimization label, and he truly knows every time he gets indicted, his numbers go up. Every time they try to throw him off the ballot, his numbers go up. It's not Donald Trump who's winning this election. It's Joe Biden who's losing it. And every time I say this, I get texted by all sorts of very significant people saying to me, stop saying this. You're hurting Joe Biden's efforts. And it's the truth. Americans look at him. Over 80% think he's too old. Over 70% don't know what he wants to do in the future. Over 60% don't approve of his performances on the 2 issues that matter most, the economy and immigration. This is not Donald Trump being strong. It's Joe Biden being weak. And make no mistake, we're going to have the most negative campaign in modern political history. And for every Canadian who's following this, don't. It's going to depress you. It's going to anger you. You're going to build a fence across the northern border of America, your southern border, to keep American politicians and American political consultants out of your country. And you should do it because this is going to be awful.
Well, I don't disagree with you. Every indication from up here in Ottawa. But you know how hard it is to ignore America when you're in the suburbs of America, like Canada is? It's pretty tough, right? I mean, but what does it say about the state of things there, Frank, when you're warning us to look away because it's not good for us to watch this, but you have potential criminality as a benefit in an election cycle? And I mean, what does that say about just where the country's going?
And you have chaos at our southern border, and it truly is chaos. It's not a political statement. You have Republicans delivering talking points, Democrats delivering talking points. And I know that Canadians have a greater degree of trust and confidence, maybe not in the prime minister, but in the commitment of the government to say what they mean what they say, and do what they say. Canadians are more positive about their democracy than any other Western democracy. And it's fascinating that you're bordering on the country that is least positive about its democracy right now, even though so many countries take the page out of them. I'm concerned that there won't be debates. I'm concerned that there could be political violence. I'm concerned about AI. We haven't even talked about that. What AI is going to do to our political process. And in the end, I'm concerned that China, Russia, Iran will seek to seek to send in misinformation and disinformation and cause some real damage. I wish it were not happening in America. I don't want it to happen to our friends up north as well. But there is one thing we can learn about it, which is that we have to, in the end, it starts in education, starts in our schools, starts with our kids. We have to be able to teach them to be able to define the difference between what is truth and what is fiction. Right. And if we can have an educated electorate, we can survive all of this. But an uneducated electorate that doesn't understand its civil responsibilities, then we have a real problem.
Look, you're not wrong. And this fraying in trust of government and democracy, it's happening here, maybe not at the accelerated rate that you're witnessing, but you're seeing it creep into the conversation. And we do have Elections Canada, which I think we take for granted as Canadians because it brings a stability and a consistency to voting that helps with some of those trust factors. But these are societal challenges we've all got to worry about. But on just the basic mechanics of your election, Trump's money is tied up in all kinds of things, either legal orders and sanctions and properties and whatever. Biden's raking in some cash, and he may break records. So that can be an equalizer in election campaigns because he can buy and spend and organize and poll and do things Trump might not be able to match. Could that tilt things?
You're correct, but and by the way, your questions are right on. They're dead. They're perfect. They're dead on with what's going on. I do want to challenge you in one area. Go back and listen to this interview. The questions that you've asked are not hostile, but they express almost shock that Donald Trump is doing as well as he's doing. And I want to emphasize that the public's belief in the media to present an accurate and fair account of the elections has never been this low. That they don't know where to turn to get the truth because that's the value that they want more than anything else. Republicans watch Republican media, Democrats watch Democratic media, and there isn't enough of that give and take. So I want to emphasize, I don't want any of your viewers to turn off this show. I want to emphasize that if you lose the sense of trust, if you don't believe you're being told the truth, that is the beginning of the end of democracy. And unfortunately, that is fraying in America. We are starting to distrust what we're being told. So how are we supposed to figure out who to vote for and be confident of that decision? That's another problem that Americans are facing right now.
I agree with you, and we're seeing that here. When I was growing up, there was a common set of facts that all of the media institutions talked about, and now we don't even have a common set of facts, right? We argue over what is true and what isn't, and there is no town square anymore where everybody gathers and has these conversations.
And that's why these interviews are so important. And notice the decibel level between you and I is so calm that we can discuss this. We can acknowledge the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. We can acknowledge the threat to American democracy and even what's going on in Canada. This is not typical of the conversations that are happening in America. We know this. Christmas, Thanksgiving. The 1/3 of all dinners were disrupted by a political conversation that didn't go well. If we lose our ability to disagree, and we lose our willingness to listen to the other side, then we are lost as a country, we're lost as a democracy, and our future is in jeopardy. And that's exactly what I see going forward between now and Election Day.
I just want to ask you one more question. You touched on all of those threats that you're worried about foreign interference. We have a public inquiry happening right now here in Ottawa, not far from where I'm sitting, looking at foreign interference by various hostile actors in Canadian elections. You've outlined the big players, and you're the big target because you're the United States of America. And then you mentioned artificial intelligence. You get a deep fake launched by a hostile actor in this fragmented media ecosystem we have with the acceleration power of social media. How do you think that could hit an election like this? Because we have an election coming up in the next 18 months. I'm terrified by what artificial intelligence and bad actors is going to unleash up here.
You should be. It's the right approach. And by the way, those who ignore it or dismiss it or say that it is not essential, I'm worried about TikTok because TikTok is not providing accurate, informative information. It is a biased information. It is tilted and one-sided. And that's where young people under age 25 are getting all their political news. And I'm glad to see that some legislation in America is going to address this. But as the bigger picture, it is why, number one, you have to be willing to challenge the sources of media and get confirmation of what you see and what you hear.
Right.
Number two is you have to be collecting from all sides of the spectrum and not just television, online, radio, print. We have to get more sources from more diverse points of view. And third, a healthy skepticism is good, but a deep cynicism is awful. And once again, that's where we're headed as a democracy if we're not careful about it.
Frank Luntz, I enjoyed this conversation. I'm not going to say it made me happy, but I'm because the topics are grim. But look, man, we'll have you back anytime. I appreciate this. It's good to have blunt, honest talk about where we are as Western democracies, and we appreciate your input every time you come on. So thanks for joining us today.
And I'm honored to be here, and let's do this face-to-face in studio sometime.
Okay, if you're ever in Ottawa, man, you got an invitation. Thanks so much, Frank. See ya.